This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we carefully explore the movie Goonies minute by minute. This is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we are going over minute number 88 of the Goonies today. Chris, how you doing?
Doing well, and this is a beautiful Thursday.
That's right.
Looking forward to the Easter weekend.
It is Easter weekend.
And not sure what we'll be doing this weekend. It is.
That's this weekend.
It is.
Okay.
And also looking more forward to, like we said yesterday, the visit from Jeff on Monday.
That's right. We're going to have our good friend Jeff in, who is a jeweler and precious stones expert. He's going to be trying to determine if what Rosalita finds at the end of the movie is actually enough to save the Goondocks, and also just give us kind of an idea on the value of everything that is on One-Eyed Willy's ship. He's going to have a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. He's also got some like historical things that he wants to bring up too, as far as like shipwrecks and stuff.
It'll definitely be interesting, and of course, this minute is the first minute that we see really up close some of this treasure that One-Eyed Willy has.
This is the first time.
But the only way we'll be able to find out more about this treasure
is if we get into the minute.
Let's get into the minute.
In the previous minute, Mikey punched his way through a trap door in the ceiling. With the help of the other Goonies, he was able to climb into the room above. What he found inside was several skeletons sitting around a table covered in treasure. He asked if he could have a minute to himself, and began to walk further into the room. At minute 88, Mikey continues to slowly walk through the room, taking in all of the carnage. He examines each skeleton at the table. A skeleton sitting at the head of the table wearing an eye patch catches Mikey's attention. The camera rushes forward and puts us face to face with One-Eyed Willy. Somber music starts to play as Mikey slowly walks forward to greet the ill-fated captain. He introduces himself by name and says that he must have been expecting him for some time. Mikey cautiously reaches for the eye patch. He lifts it up and is shocked by what he sees underneath. And thus ends minute 88 of the Goonies. So this is just incredibly, poetic moment. Just everything from the slow camera movement to the tilt of the camera angle, the somber music. It's the fact that we're seeing what was, such a horrendous, act that went down. This is
What you think happened,
dude?
I don't know. This is
one of the skeletons has a knife, like a dagger in him. The other one has a sword in him, and then one has a sword like still at his throat, and his skeleton hand is like trying to block the sword from his throat. So, that implies that there was,
Did we talk about...
Because they're all... Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Did we talk about... I can't remember if when it was me, you, Scott, and Heather about maybe what had happened. And I don't know if this was an off-air conversation or not. I can't really remember. But thinking about how it got to the point where Willy is the last one alive.
Yeah.
And how... you can play people against each other.
Yeah, we did talk about that. We talked about how he was able to pull off... Because Mikey does say in the beginning that he killed all of his men, if I'm not mistaken.
And maybe indirectly he did.
Yeah, exactly. And so we kind of made the comparison between this and The Dark Knight and how the bank robbery in the opening of the movie, the Joker has kind of convinced all of his guys to kill each other off.
Love that scene.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. It's brilliant.
I got to watch that again. I keep saying that.
And so... we figured it could have been something like that, which makes sense. I find it hard to believe that one man could have killed an entire crew of pirates. Then again, this guy has a lot of cunning. He's incredibly resourceful, as we've seen. And so, I don't know. It's within the realm of possibility.
It is, but I do think, look at what Charles Manson was able to do by not actually, I don't think he actually did any of the killings, or at least we don't really know about it, but he got these other people to do so many horrific things. He was a strong personality. He was a leader. He had vision and probably was looked up to by those other shipmates. So if he tapped someone on the shoulder to be maybe his second in command and said, or whatever, I'm back in these horrific, gruesome days. These are people that probably murdered and pillaged to get their gold, I would think.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be anything for them to get to the status symbol or status to get to the status that they want. If they were offered something by Willy, they would probably.
They'd probably take it. So I
think stab somebody in the back.
Yeah,
literally.
I think it's interesting that the comparisons we're making to One-Eyed Willy are Charles Manson and then the Joker from The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
which is two awful people. But,
it is awful people, and then you look at how Mikey kind of reveres him.
Yeah,
and there's no fear in him. There's no fear, but maybe he's seen carnage along the way, so he's probably becoming desensitized to skeletons.
It could be that, or it could just be this like overwhelming sense of amazement that overrides fear.
Very good possibility of that.
It's just also it's a very humbling experience to be around, one, all of this carnage, and two, you've made it to the point that you've been trying to get to. So there's a whole...
It's probably a whirlwound of emotions going on.
Just rushing through them.
All right, talk to us about what you're going to say.
Mikey gets the realization that that's One-Eyed Willy sitting at the end of the table. And I think it's interesting that he is within Willy's, eye line. And he's basically standing right where Willy could be looking at him, which I think is kind of creepy in a way. So then Mikey, introduces himself by his entire name. And there's something, whenever I'm watching this now, I'm not seeing like a kid who's made this discovery, and it's almost kind of a cute moment where he's just having his own sort of revelation. I'm seeing like a really almost sociopathic, like egomaniac. And Mikey introduces himself by his full name and says, "You've been expecting me," in the sense that like Willy should know who he is. He's self-important. It's
beyond confidence, arrogance.
Exactly, arrogance, and that's what it takes to be the successful explorer that one has to be to get to this point. So he is more so that than One-Eyed Willy was, and we're sitting here making comparisons to Willy and saying that he was this persuasive figure and someone who's very charismatic and everything. Well, he's got nothing on Mikey Walsh. And Mikey's sitting there basically saying that.
Well, like when he said, "You've been expecting me," and then real lightly I had to listen, "Haven't you?"
Yeah, haven't you? Yeah. So it's funny because this is the first time that I've ever watched the scene and seen like, there's, someone who could very well grow up to be an awful person in Mikey.
Yeah, he could become a serial killer. He's the next Charles Manson.
That's what we're getting at.
Yeah.
No. So we get, the sense that this kid knows that he is the winner, and he's going to sit there and he's going to say it in the face of this person that one he reveres and he's talking down to now. So I think it's so interesting that we're kind of seeing the beginnings of a really awful person here.
He says, I beat you. I got here in one piece.
Yeah, exactly. Now, things are going to change right here at the very end of the minute whenever he lifts the eye patch. But before we get there, I do want to say something in regards to the possible sequel that has been talked about for years and years and years. I wouldn't mind seeing a movie about, a similar movie about kid explorers, things like that, blah, blah, blah. And as much as I do love going back and revisiting characters that we grew up with and seeing kind of where they're at now, I don't want to see current Mikey Walsh, because I know that the movie that they would have to make would be him as like middle class, just suburbanite dude, and not the person that we're seeing right here in this room. This is the real person who is someone that you're probably not going to want to watch grow up. So in that regard, that's kind of my thoughts towards the Goonies too.
Well, I'll tell you what.
What's up?
It needs to be something new. Mm-hmm. That was my only complaint with Ghostbusters, with the female version. Mm-hmm. Which I still haven't seen, but isn't it the same story?
It's more or less the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's so disappointing because, man, it's almost like, to me, that's selling the ladies short.
Exactly.
Those are amazing actresses.
Yep.
All amazing actresses that, in my opinion, deserve better than that. Mm-hmm. There's stuff that could be done, but what I don't want to do is do the same movie.
Yeah, agreed. And, with the way things are going in terms of, like remakes or reimaginings and things like that, that's probably what would happen, which is ridiculous. So I just hope, should things ever come to pass and a Goonies 2 does come around, the people behind it will have sense enough to want to make it its own special thing and not just a rehash. So, back here in the room, I think it's interesting that, That's the Mikey that is on display here. Someone who's not, they're not just giving us this cute kid, and they're like, oh, look at this. There's a kid who really tried his hardest and made it and everything. No, we're watching someone who's like talking down to a skeleton, someone that they revere, and they're basically showing them up. It's just a strange moment.
It also reminds me of, and I can't specifically remember any movies right now, but you've seen it before where you have somebody that's in a coma, and then you get an antagonist come in the room, and
start talking to him.
They basically have a conversation and say, I beat you, you're horrible, I'm going to kill you,
Yeah.
I'm going to kill your family, or just something like that.
Yeah.
Well, he's speaking to Willy just like it's somebody in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe not quite a real person, the person that's alive, or they're alive, not quite a real conversation of somebody, but it's like somebody that possibly could hear.
Yeah. So anyway, he reaches over for the eye patch, and we're going to see why they call him One-Eyed Willy. And it's at that moment that I think Mikey kind of changes his attitude a little bit. But that's going to be tomorrow. So do you have anything else for this minute?
That's all I have.
All right, great. Well, let's find out what's underneath that eye patch tomorrow. That's going to be minute number 89. So thanks so much for tuning in today, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, this is Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies
Never say die.
Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram at GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com.
You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/PeleMedia. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/PeleMedia and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/PeleMedia.